Welcome! ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Thursday, the 7th of September. Good to have you aboard, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and always presented by Anidjar and Levine, Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you've been involved in an accident, first you call 911, then you call my friends at Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, where you're going to be treated like family. The moment that you get them on the phone, they're going to take care of you, get you the money you deserve. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We did it, everybody. We made it to September 7th. Everything in the past is behind us now. It is full steam ahead. We got football tonight. The gambling and the fantasy and the alcohol and the junk food and the football. It's all back starting tonight. You know what I'm talking about. We did it, everybody. We got here. By the way, quick shout out. Shout out to the Miami Marlins. Why am I shouting out the Miami Marlins? Because they got us to this point. They held us over through the summer, that lull in between the Heat and the Panthers finishing up their championship round losses. The Panthers, the Marlins, they did their job. They got us to this place where we were interested in baseball on a nightly basis because they're in the thick of things. And now football is here. They did it. They held us over. Excellent. Let's give it up for the Marlins. Great job by the Marlins. We'll still be keeping an eye, but we got football going on now. You did your job. We're so proud of you, Marlins. Excellent work. So, tonight, we finally did it. It is week 1, Chiefs, Lions. Let's get right to it here. Look, here's what we got coming up today. You guys know, it's Thursday. Jamie Eisenberg, CBS Sports Fantasy Football. He's going to join us today. He joins us every Thursday. Today's Thursday, so of course he's going to join us today. And he's going to help give you some tips, who to start, who to sit for the weekend's games, starting with tonight, Lions and Chiefs. We're going to get Jamie on the show coming up in a little bit. Now, it's Thursday, so that also means ZASLOW Show 2.0 Mailbag, where you send in your questions. We're going to answer questions on today's show. It can be about anything, whatever you got, whatever you want to talk about. I'm not beholden to anybody. I can say whatever I want. That's right. We're no holds barred here, ZASLOW Show 2.0. So your mailbag questions, that's coming up as well. And because the season starts tonight, we're going to do our divisional predictions. That's right. Yes, I know you're out there saying to yourself, ZASLOW, I've been tuning in every single day. I'm waiting for your divisional predictions. Are you going to give us some predictions already? Can you tell us who's going to win each division? And the answer finally is yes, the moment you've all been waiting for. It is here. You're so we're all so lucky. It's all happening. So, we got that coming up for you today as well. I do want to start out, though, by saying, so yesterday, oh, man. You guys know I love pro wrestling. Oh, wrestling's the best. And Kurt Angle, all-time great wrestler, but also fucking American hero. So there's a new documentary. I'm trying to get him on my show. I've had him on a few times. I'm trying to get him on the show again real soon. And the documentary just premiered like a day or two ago on Peacock, on the WWE Network portion of Peacock. It's called Angle. And it's about his life. And we all know that, he won the Olympic gold in 1996 with a broken freaking neck. I mean, true story. And we know that, but it goes into the first half of the story before he gets to WWE. I mean, I know about all the WWE stuff. The first half of the movie is so interesting. He is a legit American hero. And what he accomplished before getting to WWE, they go over the broken neck and what happened and how he was wrestling through it and how it all happened. It's unbelievable how he won that gold medal. And on top of it, you know the movie Foxcatcher, which came out, I don't know, like 10 years ago. It stars Steve Carell and Channing Tatum. And it's about John DuPont, part of the DuPont family, like billionaire American old money family. And he financed Foxcatcher, which was like a wrestling team. amateur wrestlers. And he ended up murdering like the star wrestler David Schultz. Well, Kurt Angle was part of Foxcatcher. He was part of that team. And so they go over all of that as well. And it's so good, this documentary. It's inspiring and it's sad and it's I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're a pro wrestling fan. But if you're a fan of sport, Angle documentary on Peacock, WWE Network. So I watched that yesterday with my younger son, Jordan. Oh, we were so into it. This, like I said, this Kurt Angle, obviously, all-time great WWE superstar. But he is a freaking American hero. He really is. Incredible, incredible story. I very highly recommend it. So, Travis Kelce's questionable tonight. That's what we're keeping an eye on this evening. And I think there's a lot of pressure now on the Lions tonight. I really do. You know, we know, and I talked about this a little bit with MJ Acosta Ruiz yesterday. Of course, MJ Acosta Ruiz, formerly down here in Miami, host on NFL Network. She's great to us. She's my friend, and she was on the show yesterday. So if you did not catch her yesterday, you could always go back wherever you get your ZASLOW Show 2.0 podcast, courtesy of the Believe Podcast Network, available everywhere you get your podcasts. I can't name everywhere that the podcast's available. I'll be here listing these platforms. I'll be here forever. I can't do it. All right. So you can go back and you can listen to MJ Acosta Ruiz joining us yesterday. But I mentioned it with her where we know who the Chiefs are. We know what the Chiefs are. They're going to be great. The Lions is a major question mark. And a question mark for a team that a lot of people are putting expectations on because of the way they finished last year. They were on Hard Knocks last year, which makes you high profile. Man, Campbell makes you high profile because he's unconventional. He's a little bit against the grain there. And they're a fun team. They scored a ton of points, Jared Goff. By the way, Jared Goff's a little bit of a punching line. I get it. But you go back and look at Jared Goff's career so far. I think it's maybe year 7 or year 8 for him. It's a pretty good career. Matter of fact, he's had like 3 seasons which have been straight up awesome, including last year. Like Jared Goff has a little bit of that Alex Smith career going for him, where he was the #1 overall pick, expectations were high, wasn't fulfilling the expectations, and then changes teams and really gets going, kind of like Alex Smith at the end of his San Francisco run and then in Kansas City. Well, now Jared Goff, who did have a couple of really good years in LA, and now went to the Super Bowl with them, and now in Detroit, he's got some of that Alex Smith going for him. I think there's pressure on Detroit tonight now with Kelce out. Kelce, well, he's questionable, but Kelce being questionable has moved the line down 1.5 points, I believe. Kansas City is giving 4.5 at this point. And if you're going to be a real team, going to find out tonight if Dan Campbell can coach. You're not a good coach just if you win games against the bad coaches. You're a good coach if you can win games against guys like Andy Reid, the great coaches. We're going to find out tonight if Dan Campbell can coach a little bit because you're going up against Andy Reid, and it's a shorthanded Chiefs team. Go into Kansas City, where Mahomes has never had to deal with no Kelce. He's probably not going to play tonight. Go win a big game. If you're going to be a big team this year, Detroit, go win a big game. So I really think now all of a sudden there's some pressure on Detroit. Big NFL news yesterday. Nick Bosa, 5 years, $170 million, most ever for a defensive player. $50 million signing bonus up front. Good for him. He'll presumably be in the lineup with San Francisco as they are at Pittsburgh this weekend. I think that's upset alert, by the way. I think the Steelers are going to win that game. I think it'll be a great game, but I think the Steelers are going to win that game. The Marlins last night. The Marlins now have taken the first 2 in their series with the Dodgers after a 4-game sweep against the Washington Nationals, which you had to have if you're going to get back into this wild card picture and give yourself a chance with 3 weeks remaining in the season. You had to win last night. So now the Marlins are going to go for the sweep against the Dodgers tonight. It's Braxton Garrett on the hill for the Marlins tonight. And that was yesterday after getting the news that both Sandy Alcantara and Jorge Soler are on the IL. So terrible news yesterday for the Marlins. They're down 1-0 in the 5th inning, and they put up a 9 spot in the 5th inning, including a 3-run blast by Jazz Chisholm, who is just on fire right now. A 9 spot in the 5th inning. Marlins never look back. They win 11-4 yesterday, so they're going to go for the sweep here tonight. And as far as the wild card is concerned, the Marlins are sitting in that 3rd wild card spot all by themselves right now. They're a half game up on both Diamondbacks and Reds. They're 3.5 back at number 2 Chicago. You're probably not going to catch them. But at 72-67, winners of 6 in a row, a chance to sweep the Dodgers tonight. So this is a major, major spot for them. And then they're at Philadelphia this weekend. So let's see if they can finish off the Dodgers tonight. That would be awesome. You know what else is awesome? The sleep that my wife and I get. And that's courtesy of Sheets and Giggles. My man Colin, founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles. I was in touch with him last night. I mean, hey, I'm talking about the softest sheets you've ever had in your life. No more night sweats. No more, no more itchy covers. No, naturally softer, cooler, most breathable sheets you're ever going to sleep on. And now the ZASLOW family, just like over 100,000 Americans, we sleep on Sheets and Giggles, and we're never turning back. SheetsGiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW. If this is your first ever order from Sheets and Giggles, go to SheetsGiggles.com. Use promo code ZASLOW. You're going to get 20% off your first order. That's right. And my man Colin, he's taking care of the environment out there as well. I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow. A eucalyptus pillow. Have you ever slept on a eucalyptus mattress? Look, if a koala sleeps up to 18 hours on a eucalyptus tree, do you know how comfortable a eucalyptus mattress must be? SheetsGiggles.com. So, let's get to it here. Sorry, I just had to take a sip of my vitamin water there. The time has come. Week 1 is tonight. Before we get to Jamie Eisenberg here and do fantasy football with him, let's go on the record. We're on the record now. Let's go on the record. Here are our divisional predictions. The division winner for all 8 divisions. That's 4 in the AFC, 4 in the NFC. We're going on the record now. You got to hold us accountable. It's always super important when you go on the record. That's what we're doing right now. Here we go. So, first up here, let's just get right after it, right? Let's start out with the AFC East. Our divisional predictions begin with the champion of the AFC East, and we are talking about your Miami Dolphins. That's right. And you know what? I'm going to give you the divisional winners. I also went through their schedules. I'm going to give you their record. The Dolphins will win the AFC East 12-5. That's right. They're going to win it at 12-5, and they're going to win the division by a couple of games. That's right. The Dolphins will win the AFC East. You know what? I'm going to expand this shit. Not only am I going to give you the divisional winners, I'm going to give you all 7 playoff teams in each conference. I'm going on the record for all 14 playoff teams this year. The Dolphins win the AFC East at 12-5. They are not the number 1 seed, though, in the AFC East. Baltimore wins the AFC North. They're going to win 11 games. 11-6, Baltimore. The Jacksonville Jaguars will win the AFC South at 10-7. And the number 1 seed in the AFC is going to be the AFC West champion, Kansas City Chiefs, at 13-4. The Dolphins will finish 1 game behind them. So your division winners, Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Kansas City. Your 3 wild cards, Cincinnati at 10-7. Buffalo at 10-7. Pittsburgh, 9-8. That's right. The Jets do not make the playoffs. I think the Jets are a 7 or an 8 win team this year. Yup, I said it. And what? So your wild cards, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh at 9-8. I have 3 teams from the AFC North in the playoffs. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. So there you go. So that would mean our playoff matchups. Kansas City gets the first round bye. We have Miami versus Pittsburgh. Baltimore versus Buffalo. Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. Those are our playoff matchups. I'm not giving you the winners. I'm just giving you the teams and the matchups. In the NFC East winner, the Philadelphia Eagles at 12-5, not the number 1 seed though. AFC North, the Minnesota Vikings, 11-6. NFC South is won by the New Orleans Saints at 9-8. Only 9 wins to win the South. Very bad division. And the NFC West winner and the number 1 seed in the NFC playoff, the San Francisco 49ers at 12-5. They win the head-to-head tiebreaker over Philadelphia. So your division winners, the number 1 seed, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans. Your 3 wildcard teams in the NFC. The Seattle Seahawks at 10-7. The Dallas Cowboys at 10-7. The New York Giants at 9-8. I got 3 teams from the NFC East making the playoffs. I have 3 teams in the AFC North. I have 3 teams in the NFC East making the playoffs. So your wildcard teams, Seattle, Dallas, New York Giants. So your playoff matchups in the NFC, number 1 seed getting a bye, San Francisco. Then you have Philadelphia versus New York Giants. Minnesota versus Seattle. Minnesota versus Dallas. And New Orleans versus Seattle. Those are our NFC playoff matchups. And that right there, those are our postseason teams. So again, to recap, the NFC, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Minnesota, New Orleans, wild card, Seattle, Dallas, New York Giants. AFC, Kansas City, Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, wild cards, Cincinnati, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. And that right there. Now we're on the record. Nothing anybody could do about it. We are on the record, and those are our 2023 NFL playoff predictions. Excellent job, as always, by Jamie Eisenberg. Hopefully you were able to get some help with your lineup for this weekend. We're here, baby, tonight. Week 1, Chiefs, Lions, gambling, fantasy football. You know what I'm talking about. And, of course, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0, including Jamie Eisenberg right there, are brought to us by the official beer of the program, that being Johnny Cuba. It's Thursday. You know what that means. Let's get to ZASLOW Show 2.0 mailbag. That's right. First, though, I got to tell you guys, if you have a home, you need to make sure you have homeowners insurance. Not only do you need to make sure you have homeowners insurance, but you got to make sure that you're covered in every way possible. You want to make sure there are no surprises. God forbid there's a disaster, you get caught off guard, and you didn't realize that you need to have a certain type of coverage. That's where Brunt Insurance comes into play. I've been getting my homeowners insurance from Brunt Insurance and Financial Services for almost 10 years now. My insurance just renewed last month. I keep going back to Brunt Insurance because I know that they have my best interest. They have me covered, and I'm getting the best price anywhere. When you call Brunt Insurance, 954-589-2204, you're getting the most comprehensive coverage anywhere, because no matter where you're calling from in the state of Florida, Brunt Insurance has offices all throughout the state, so you could be calling all the way up north in Pensacola, all the way down south in the Keys. Wherever you're calling from, Brunt Insurance has you covered. If you need renter's insurance, you don't own your home, that's okay. If you need condo insurance, there's so many options out there for your home, but don't worry. Brunt Insurance specializes in making all those confusing options crystal clear. 954-589-2204. Greg Brunt and his fully licensed team at Brunt Insurance, they help you every step of the way. You can also go online right now, bruntinsurance.com. If you need affordable care and the best coverage on your automobile, your motorcycle, your boat, Brunt Insurance, 954-589-2204, bruntinsurance.com. Let's get to this week's edition of Mailbag. So you guys know, all you got to do, go to @ZASLOW Show, usually Wednesday night or Thursday morning. I'll send out a note. You can reply to it. We need your participation in order to make the segment work. We got a few questions here. You could always hit me up @ZASLOW Show on Twitter, @ZASLOWJ on Instagram. So let's get after it here. got a few questions. This one first. This is from Jesse. Rank these cartoons in order. Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats. You see, this is the kind of shit that I'm looking for. Now, Jesse, either we're the same age or he just knows my style. Because growing up as a kid in the 80s, these were the cartoons. These were the best cartoons. So, I can tell you right now, number one for me, Thundercats. Thundercats was my all-time favorite cartoon as a kid. Lino, when he would take out that sword, he put it up against his face. I mean, you don't think I was doing that on the regular as a 6-year-old in my house? Come on now. You got that sword, the sword would grow, he would turn all strong and shit. All of his Thundercat pals, they would get all strong. Thundercats, number one, that was my favorite cartoon as a kid. Now, you don't have He-Man on the list, because He-Man would be right behind it. Prince Adam, He-Man, She-Ra, you know what I'm talking about. But those are not on the list. So, Thundercats, number one, my all-time favorite cartoon as a kid. Number two, I'm probably going G.I. Joe, with Transformers, a very close number three. Those movies, though, Transformers and G.I. Joe, and Thundercats had movies too. Remember Thundercats? Mum-Ra Lives? What a movie. But we're talking about the shows. The movies, though, Transformers and G.I. Joe, very controversial back in the 80s. Because if you remember, or maybe you don't even know this, in Transformers, you had Optimus Prime die early on in the movie, which as a kid was fucking traumatic. That never happens in cartoons. Optimus Prime died, Hot Rod took over as the leader of the Autobots, and because of the reaction from Transformers, the G.I. Joe movie, Duke dies in the movie. And they brought him back later on in the movie. Cobra's like Serpent struck through Duke, and Duke died. And then because of the reaction from Transformers, they put Duke back in at the end of the movie. Or just all of a sudden after they won their battle, Duke appeared. It's like, oh, Duke, you're alive. Awesome. Yay. It was crazy. It was stupid. They brought Duke back in the end because of the reaction from Optimus Prime dying in the Transformers movie. Crazy, right? Anyway, Thundercats, that's number one. All-time favorite childhood cartoon. Next question. This is from Giovanni. Giovanni wants to know, he's never watched the shows before. He wants to watch Breaking Bad. But his main question here is, should he watch in the order they came out, or should he go out of order between the Breaking Bad universe, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, El Camino? Of course, El Camino was the post-Breaking Bad movie starring Aaron Paul's Jesse Pinkman. All right, the first thing I will tell you is, and the order, of course, is Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, El Camino, even though Breaking Bad came out first, if you want to actually go with the timeline. I never watched El Camino. I don't think there's a reason to watch El Camino, so whatever. But as far as Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I would watch, and I've never watched Better Call Saul, by the way, but I would watch Breaking Bad first. I would watch it the way that it was intended for you to watch, which was to watch Breaking Bad, and then you go back and watch the prequel in Better Call Saul. I don't think it's like, say, the Marvel movies, where now you can go back and watch in order of the timeline, and it's kind of cool watching it like that. I think I think Better Call Saul, a lot of this stuff works in Better Call Saul because you know what happens in Breaking Bad. Because you already saw that character in Breaking Bad, and now you get to see him early on in Better Call Saul. So I don't think you'll enjoy it as much if you actually watch it the way the timeline is. I think you should watch it the way it's intended for you to watch, Giovanni, which is Breaking Bad, and then watch Better Call Saul. All right, next up, this question here is from Kevin. Kevin wants to know, Zaslow, you're on ESPN Radio all the time now. Any chance we can get you working with Amber again? All right, so Amber's new show, 7 to 10 p.m. ESPN Radio, which debuted this past Tuesday, their new ESPN Radio fall lineup. She's now 7 to 10 p.m. with Ian Fitzsimmons. Amber and Ian, she has top billing, obviously deserved. I will tell you, obviously, it's a major goal of mine to work with Amber again. I think she would like that too. And I think the best thing I could do is tell you let's wait and see what happens. I think the best answer I can give you is I am very much hoping for that. It's absolutely one of my goals when I became interested in doing shows on ESPN radio is to get back and work with her in some capacity. So I think it's possible. I think you got to wait and see. That's the best answer I can give you. Next question. This is from Wolfpack, great listener. Dolphins, Chargers. ZASLOW, is that a big game? All right, I don't want to spoil anything for you because on Fridays we do big game or not a big game. But Wolfpack's a great listener. So Dolphins, Chargers, Tua, Herbert, number 5 overall pick, number 6 overall pick, blood feud. That's a big game. You know that's a big game. You know that's a big game. All right, next up. This question is from the dude abides. He's at ACAB_cards. And his question is, ZASLOW, what's better, Sopranos or The Wire? Wow, that's a tough fucking question. All right. Whew. All right. What's better? If this makes sense, The Wire is better, but The Sopranos is more enjoyable, if that makes sense. Yeah. The Sopranos, I think you get more out of The Sopranos as a viewer, but as a television show, The Wire really is a masterpiece. Now, I watched Sopranos in live time. I watched The Wire, I binged it like a year or two after it wrapped on HBO. So we're talking like around maybe 2010-ish is when I watched The Wire. I think it wrapped shortly before that. The Wire's a better show overall, but I think The Sopranos is more enjoyable, if that makes sense. Next question here, this is from C-Mac, C-McIntyre1972 on Twitter. And he says here, ZASLOW, has Mrs. ZASLOW been watching a lot more soccer with you since Messi joined Inter Miami? Excellent question, C-Mac. My wife's family is from Argentina. We all love Messi, of course. And yes, while she was not watching any Inter Miami with me up until now, she has been watching a little bit of Inter Miami now. So the answer to that question is yes, she has been watching. Like the other night when they won 3-1 at LAFC, she didn't watch the whole game, but she watched like half the game. And the game before that, where it was a 0-0 draw against Nashville FC, I think she watched most of that game with me. And finally, all right, we got time for one more question here. This is from Nick's Hex, and he says, ZASLOW declared the Panthers dead last spring. They went on to the Stanley Cup Finals. ZASLOW declared the Marlins dead last week, and they won 6 in a row now. ZASLOW, are you a reverse jinx sorcerer? Now, I am not, the easy answer is I am not a reverse jinx sorcerer. Sometimes I do the reverse jinx. That's for sure. But, and forget about the Marlins. Look, the Marlins right now are third in the wild card. Forget about that. As far as the Panthers, that was not a reverse jinx I was trying to do. I legitimately thought they were dead, and then they won 6 in a row before they got to the final game of the season, which they lost, but still ended up getting into the postseason because the Penguins major choke. So I was just being honest there. I was dead wrong, and I couldn't be happier about being wrong, more wrong than I was in that spot, because it's my all-time favorite Panther team, and it's my all-time favorite Panther run. And I think it was the all-time greatest sports year I've ever enjoyed as a fan between the Panthers and Heat, what they did last year. So no, I am not a reverse jinx sorcerer. And that right there is another Thursday edition of ZASLOW Show 2.0 Mailbag.